Now, if you think Slenderman is scary, just wait till you see what I've got on this list. My name is AJ with Most Amazing, and these are the top 10 evil people in history scarier than Slenderman. At number 10 is the Hachishakusama. Known as the Japanese Slenderman, this Japanese legend makes Slenderman seem like a walk in the park. First up, she's tall. I mean, imagine peeking out your window and seeing an 8-foot tall lady staring back at you. Instant chills. And when she gets close, she makes this spine-tingling sound, like kind of giving you a heads up that she's coming. But here's where it gets really scary. She only goes after individuals who haven't been on Earth for very long. Why? Well, some think it's because she feeds off their energy or potential, and also because they're easier to lure. Plus, she can mimic voices, even your loved ones, trying to trick you into opening up your door, and poof, you're gone. And get this, once you see her, you're pretty much marked for doom. There's a ritual to shake her off, and it involves some Buddha statues, salt, and leaving Japan forever. Pretty tough deal. Oh, and she rocks this long white dress, a classic ghostly choice, but the kicker is that she can actually appear as quite attractive, despite being so tall, which makes her scarier. In a nutshell, she's like this vengeful spirit ramped up with this scary look, an eerie sound, and a taste for younger people. Super spooky. At number 9 is the Highway of Tears Unaliver. Now, while the US normally comes to mind when thinking about serial unaliver phenomena, Canada is actually home to a plethora of unsolved serial unalivings. Great. The notorious Highway of Tears in British Columbia, spanning 450 miles between Prince George and Prince Rupert, harbors a haunting legacy of tragedy. Approximately 18 to 40 individuals, primarily indigenous women, have either disappeared or met a tragic end along this route from 1969 to 2011. This chilling series of incidents spans over 5 decades, indicating the potential involvement of multiple perpetrators. Law enforcement, particularly the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, faced immense challenges in solving these cases. Regrettably, only one unaliving led to prosecution, leaving 17 other cases unsolved. The complexity lies in the multiple unalivers suspected lurking along the highway, making tracking their actions over the years incredibly difficult. While authorities have linked one individual to a couple of the unalivings, the majority remain unattributed. The shadow of these unsolved cases suggests the likely existence of additional culprits who have yet to be apprehended. If you're enjoying this spooky video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. I don't see why not, because it is free, and it helps us out, so please do that. At number 8 is the Sitter. The Oakland County minor unaliver, also referred to as the Sitter, was an unidentified serial assailant responsible for the unalivings of at least 4 young people in Oakland County, Michigan between 76 and 77. This individual earned the moniker due to a pattern observed in the crimes where each victim was bathed before the tragic events, leading the authorities to speculate on potential psychological motives behind the unaliver's actions. The impact of the crimes reverberated profoundly, causing widespread fear and concern among parents throughout Michigan. Numerous community watch programs were initiated, emphasizing the need for heightened vigilance and safety measures for the vulnerable. Despite exhaustive investigative efforts and several leads, including a vehicle linked to the perpetrator, the case still remains unsolved. A significant breakthrough occurred in 2012 when a DNA profile was obtained, but unfortunately, no match was found within law enforcement databases or associated with any arrests made in connection to the case. The extended duration of the victim's captivity, lasting from several days to nearly 3 weeks, adds to the disturbing nature of these tragic events. Number 7 is the Smiling Man. The Smiling Man is a chilling narrative that comes from someone's real experience on a late night walk. This story was shared on a Reddit forum called r/Let's Not Meet. So now the thing is, this thread is for real life encounters, not made up stories. It describes an eerie encounter with a man on a quiet Seattle street, and it goes a little something like this. About 5 years ago, I lived downtown in a major city in the US. I enjoyed taking late-night walks to pass the time, but one night, while strolling near a quiet park, something eerie happened. As I turned onto a side street, I noticed a man dancing in the distance. The movement seemed odd, like a waltz with an unusual forward step. Initially, I assumed he might be intoxicated, so I moved to give him some space. However, as he drew nearer, his graceful movements surprised me. His appearance was unsettling. He was tall, thin, and wore an old suit. His eyes were wide, gazing up into the sky, and his smile seemed unnatural. I decided to cross the street, feeling uncomfortable, but when I glanced back, he stood motionless, staring at me with that unsettling smile. Though I tried to put distance between us, he vanished briefly, only to reappear even closer. Feeling unnerved, I quickly walked away, yet each time I looked back, he appeared closer and closer. This continued until he started to move rapidly towards me. Despite feeling Feeling frozen in fear, I eventually fled to a more illuminated area, losing sight of the creepy smiling man. At number 6 is the expressionless woman. Now this one is just demonic. There was an infamous incident in 1972 at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles when a woman, devoid of any facial expression akin to that of a mannequin, enters the hospital's premise, her gown stained with the bodily fluids of a kitten with its remains still clenched in her jaw. The hospital staff tried to aid her, but things took a nightmarish turn. After a brief cooperation, she turned hostile, attacking the staff. Security intervention led to her biting a guard's jugular. When questioned about her identity, she ominously declared herself as God before just vanishing, leaving behind the legend of the expressionless woman. At number 5 is the Graveyard Demon of Dagestan. This was a spooky legend in Russian history. Different folks in Dagestan told stories about this eerie creature, and they all had a similar picture in mind. They saw it as a tall, thin thing dressed in white, sometimes with a face you couldn't see. Could be invisible or look like a real being. Now, the demon liked to hang out in graveyards or empty houses, making creepy sounds at night. Some folks thought only bad people could see it, while others believed it could scare anybody. Legend said that the demon was once a person who didn't get enough gifts after they passed away, or it was a bad person who turned into this scary thing. The details are not very clear. People who encountered this thing felt weak or sick afterwards, like it drained their energy. Some thought you could prevent bad stuff by saying some special prayers or doing rituals like hanging an empty eggshell or nail to protect the living from their relatives. Kinda weird. At number 4 is the Roanoke Demon. Roanoke Island's tale is a fascinating mystery from American history. That rhymed. In the late 16th century, a group of English settlers arrived at Roanoke in what is now North Carolina. They established a colony, but things took a bizarre turn when their colony leader, John White, went back to England for supplies. When White returned a few years later, he found the settlement deserted with no signs of struggle or battle. The clues were dismantled, and the only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved on a post, and crow on a nearby tree. Now, some people think that the settlers might have integrated with local natives, the Croatoans, but there's another chilling theory. Now, I'm gonna assert that this claim comes from the internet and not from the Croatoans themselves, but supposedly, legends among the Native American tribes spoke of an ancient ritual to summon a powerful entity, a demon, meant to protect their land from intruders. It's said that this ritual was performed when they felt their territory was threatened by outsiders, and according to these legends, the settlers' disappearance might have been linked to this ritual, a desperate attempt by the indigenous people to protect their land from the encroaching colonizers. At number 3 is the Zherdyaj. Imagine a creature wandering the streets at night, peeking through windows and giving everybody the creeps. Meet the Zherdyaj, a character from Russian folklore. The Zherdyaj was super tall and skinny, like a long tree trunk without its branches. Sort of like a sad wanderer, condemned to wander aimlessly forever. People don't really know much about him, just that he liked scaring folks by peeking into their homes or warming his hands in chimneys. But here's where it gets more interesting. Some stories link Zherdyaj to a big bad guy named Koshchei the Immortal. Koshchei was a typical bad dude in Slavic tales, a skinny tall elder or a wandering skeleton who used magic and kidnapped little people. And guess what? No hero could easily beat him. Now, we're not totally sure about the connection between these two characters, because there's not a lot of info about these guys in Russian folklore. At number 2 is the Chupacabra Man. The Chupacabra is a legendary creature known for attacking livestock, especially goats, and drinking their bodily fluids like a vampire. But what if I told you that there might be another mysterious figure behind these goat unalivings? In a small Mexican village, farmers have been losing their goats in bizarre ways. Now, most blame the Chupacabra, depicting the mysterious cryptid creature demon thing, but apparently, the Chupacabra might have actually been a real person. It was rumored that this mysterious being had a deep-seated grudge against the farmers, seeking revenge for an ancient betrayal. You see, legend has it that this figure was once a respected herder in the valley. However, when a severe drought struck, the farmers accused him of stealing their water supply to save his own herd, as most of the other farmers' flock had perished, but not his. They then proceeded to totally pillage the dude. However, this farmer lived, vanished into the shadows, and swore vengeance, which he got by, apparently, sucking the juices out of the other farmers' goats. Yeah, seems legit. At number 1 is the Servant Annihilator. This dude takes the top spot, as this unsolved case is actually one of the very first American serial unalivers. Oh goody. This creepy person went around unaliving 7 women and a man in Austin, Texas between 84 and 85. Now what's chilling is that all these victims worked as house helpers, and this guy attacked them while they were sleeping or pulled them out of their homes to unalive them. In one really scary night in 1885, this unaliver used an axe to unalive 3 people, earning himself the nickname the Austin Axe Unaliver. The police back then had a hard time figuring things out, and all the records are pretty spotty since it happened over 125 years ago. Some people think that the Axe Unaliver might have been Jack the Ripper, who caused chaos in London a few years later. However, other people think it's a local guy named Nathan Elgin, who had a distinctive foot with only 4 toes, matching footprints found on the crime scene. He was unalived by a police officer in 1886 while trying to help a woman named Julia from this drunk dude attacking her outside a saloon. Thankfully, this terrifying unaliver is long gone, considering it happened so many years ago. I mean, if it was in fact this dude and not Jack the Ripper. As always, if there's an evil person in history scarier than the Slenderman that you think I've missed, feel free to let me know down in the comments. This has been AJ with Most Amazing, and I'll catch you all in another video. Later.